Against the wind. Ever since I could remember, I've disliked the wind blowing on me, and that dislike climbs to near rage when I'm running. In fact, the wind is basically the only excuse I use to head inside, opting to use a treadmill instead. But even then, the strong fans in the gym can irk me. The constant sensation of fighting to move forward, being held back and pushed around, while my hair flies about my face and into my mouth, does my head in. It seems ridiculous, but on certain days when it feels like it slows my already tortoise-like pace to a mere crawl, it's enough to inspire a full-on pity party, and the only sensations that power me through are blind rage and pure stubbornness. It's even bad enough that I actually fear sounds of wind on mornings when I do my long marathon training runs. A knot tightens in my stomach. Dread. I head out anyway, of course, but I typically need to mentally prepare myself for the blow. That's a pun. Despite hating the wind, I've lived in the notoriously windy state of Kansas, the gusty Palmerston North, and now I live in Taranaki, where the term breezy basically means, quote, will turn an umbrella inside out, but won't strip someone of their clothing. It makes me wonder if I don't subconsciously choose windy environments to challenge myself. Yeah, that sounds like something I'd do. Anyway, in one instance, an easy 8-kilometer recovery run led me down a rabbit hole I could have never anticipated. And when I left the gym, the wind was eerily calm. Knowing that Halberta can get windy astonishingly fast, and with my route in mind, I wanted to ensure that the 2 longer legs of the run would be with and not against the wind should it kick up. I did the, quote, intelligent thing and looked up the direction of the wind on my phone. 6 kilometers per hour, north-northeast. Barely a whisper. After a quick assessment in my head, I decided which way to start my loop and set out. Guess what? My intelligent assessment turned out to be completely fucking backwards. North-northeast doesn't mean it's blowing to the north. It means it's blowing from the north. Ironically, I would have realized this if I had bothered to step outside and actually feel which way the wind was heading, instead of making my super smart decision whilst sitting in my car. When I turned to head north along my longest stretch, there it was, feeling more like a roar than a whisper. My foretold aggravation gaining momentum. This time, I paused my reaction, however, and thought, well, I'm not going to stop, so I might as well ruminate on the bright side of the situation. Here's what I came up with. My duh moment made me laugh. I frequently overanalyze situations only to find I've landed on the wrong conclusion. For a smart person, I often do phenomenally stupid shit. The direction I took may have put me face first into the wind, but it also kept the sun out of my eyes so I could see the path in front of me without burning my retinas. It helped me keep cool on a very warm day. I envisioned this wind and I clashing together and combining to form a tornado as we moved in opposite directions, creating something powerful with the energy I put into moving forward, raised my spirits. Though it felt strong, the wind was hardly blowing at all. This led me to an overarching acknowledgement that I tend to, quote, blow things out of proportion. Boom, I'm on a roll with the puns. I hate being hindered in my efforts in general. Though slowing down typically prevents me from making a fool of myself in the long run. Despite the weather conditions, length of the run, or how skeptical I feel about my body's ability to finish, I remember that so long as I take one step at a time, I'll reach my goal. I'm grateful that I have that inner determination and drive to keep going. Sometimes it comes from self-improvement, and other times rage directed at an invisible nemesis I can't control. Either way, I keep moving forward, and that inspires pride. I spent so much time in my head creating this inane essay that before I knew it, I had already run the longest length of the road. And then it was time to turn in a different direction and out of the wind. Hell, I even missed it a little. As I faced a fairly gnarly headwind during my most challenging training run, not long afterwards, 32 kilometers, a couple more points came to me. I heard the wind as soon as I awoke, and the idea of attempting my longest run ever, literally, did not excite me to say the least. I began to worry about my ability to complete the run. But I was also determined to set a new personal record, and I knew I had to give it a go anyway, wind or no wind. This showed me how resilient I am, and it helped me to realize that fear necessitates bravery. And in a similar way, mistakes necessitate adventure. What would be the fun in an easy life without challenges? The wind reminds me to slow down and keep a sustainable pace. Instead of seeing it as an impediment, I see that it's serving to help me in its own annoying way. Take each gust as it comes. Staying pissed at a gust that has held me back, or worrying about a future gust that will challenge me, is pointless. I can't control the wind, and it does no good to fight it, though this is easier said than done. Despite the wind, I smashed it, and I hit my new personal best for distance. All that just to come to this point. The wind is the physical manifestation of my own emotional issues. My reaction to the wind largely depends on my inner emotional state. Some days I resign myself to it. Other days I fight it. I may run with it in beautiful harmony one day, but it'll break me the next. Though this is actually a true account of what I experienced running against the wind, upon reflection, I see how the wind also functions as a significant metaphor in an emotional sense. As humans, we often feel like we're pushing shit uphill, running against the wind. The struggle is real. We all have triggers that push our buttons, and we may or may not understand why. A simple situation, a wisp of wind, can cause a torrent of emotions to erupt. It seems so silly that I would be so easily enraged by an act of nature that I can't control. But that's also precisely why it bugs the hell out of me. The wind pushes me around and slows me down. It controls me. Historically, I fought against being controlled with every fiber of my being, opting to vehemently fight for control instead of surrendering and reserving my energy. It took me years of self-development work to discover that my obsession with control was a coping mechanism for feeling insecure. Deep shit. Wounds from my past that never fully healed. So some days my emotions are stable. The wounds have scabbed over and are partially concealed, so I can cope. Other days, those scabs have been ripped off for any number of reasons, and I cannot. Turning a wisp into a gale that knocks me for a 6. These observations and reflections allowed me to prove to myself that I can change my old habit of resisting control and fighting the wind. However foreign it may feel, I can consciously choose to challenge myself, to find gratitude in a situation where I would typically feel angry or victimized by a lack of control. Life is full of such opportunities. It takes courage, but we can all run into the wind.